In the heart of Washington, D.C., the morning sun cast a warm glow over the prestigious Albright Academy, a school renowned for its academic excellence and commitment to fostering a diverse student body. The air was thick with anticipation as two young girls, Amara and Olivia Williams, walked confidently alongside their father, Senator Marcus Williams. Dressed in crisp uniforms, the sisters radiated excitement about the new school year that lay ahead. However, an undercurrent of tension lingered as they approached the imposing gates of Albright Academy. The atmosphere shifted when they were greeted by the school's headmaster, Mr. Thompson, a man whose demeanor reflected an old-world charm masked by an air of superiority. His eyes roamed over the girls, and the moment they met his gaze, Amara and Olivia sensed an immediate change in his expression. "Excuse me, young ladies," Mr. Thompson began, his voice dripping with insincere politeness. "I'm afraid you might have made a mistake coming here today." Amara, the elder sister, furrowed her brow, picking up on the underlying tension. Olivia instinctively clutched her sister's hand, feeling the weight of the moment. "What do you mean?" Amara asked, her voice steady despite the unease swirling inside her. Mr. Thompson cleared his throat, his gaze shifting from the girls to Senator Williams, who had stepped forward with a look of concern etched on his face. "This is Albright Academy, correct? But I fear your daughters may not meet our criteria," he replied, his tone dripping with condescension. The senator's heart sank as he recognized the thinly veiled prejudice in the headmaster's words. "My daughters meet all the academic standards for admission. They were accepted based on their hard work and merit," he asserted, his voice steady but his fists clenched in frustration. Mr. Thompson remained unmoved. "Unfortunately, we have certain standards to uphold. Cultural fit is a significant factor in our admissions process," he said, his words laced with arrogance as he gestured toward the gates, dismissing them as if their worth had been predetermined by the color of their skin. The senator felt a surge of anger, but knew that confronting this injustice head-on would require more than mere outrage. "I will not allow my daughters to be victims of systemic racism. This isn't over," he stated, his voice low and determined. As they left the school grounds, Amara looked up at her father, uncertainty clouding her eyes. "Dad, what's going to happen now?" "I'm going to make sure this is resolved," he replied, his tone resolute. "You both deserve to be here, and I will fight for your rights." The following day, Senator Williams wasted no time in arranging a meeting with the school's leadership. He knew that the path to justice would be long, but he could not allow his daughters to be denied their rightful place in an institution that should welcome all children, based on merit. As he entered the conference room at Albright Academy, he was met with the sight of Mr. Thompson seated at the head of a long table, flanked by several board members and a lawyer whose presence spoke volumes about the stakes at play. The atmosphere was tense, filled with the weight of unspoken accusations and expectations. "Thank you for meeting with me," Senator Williams said, his voice even as he took a seat. He crossed his arms on the table, preparing to make his case. "I'm here to discuss the unjust denial of admission for my daughters, Amara and Olivia." Mr. Thompson leaned back in his chair, exuding an air of arrogance that made the senator's blood boil. "Senator, we have strict admissions policies that consider various factors, including academic performance and alignment with our school's values. They have met every requirement," the senator interjected, his tone rising slightly. "They are outstanding students, and their previous school can attest to their dedication and achievements. What you're doing is discriminatory, plain and simple." The headmaster's expression hardened, but one of the board members, Professor Johnson, finally spoke up, attempting to diffuse the mounting tension. "Perhaps we need to conduct a thorough investigation into this matter. We cannot afford accusations without justification," he suggested, though it was clear that the board was already on the defensive. Senator Williams felt the anger boiling within him, but chose to channel it into his words. "I demand that my daughters be admitted immediately. If this issue is not resolved, I will take it public. I have the resources to ensure that justice is served." The room fell silent as the board members exchanged nervous glances, the reality of the Situation sinking in. Mr. Thompson's confident demeanor wavered as the senator's determination filled the air. Days passed, and the story of the Williams family began to gain traction. Fueled by public outrage, Senator Williams decided to take the fight for justice to a larger audience. He recorded a heartfelt video message detailing the events that had transpired, the injustices his daughters faced, and the urgency of their situation. In the video, framed by the images of his daughter's bright smiles and achievements, he spoke directly to the camera. "My daughters, Amara and Olivia, are victims of discrimination at Albright Academy, one of the most prestigious schools in the nation. They have been denied their right to an education based solely on the color of their skin," he asserted, his voice steady yet filled with emotion. "As a father and as a senator, I cannot remain silent." The video quickly went viral, sparking outrage across social media platforms. Supportive comments poured in from all corners of the country, particularly within the African American community, many of whom shared their own experiences of facing racial discrimination. The hashtag Justice for Williams trended, and the movement began to grow. As news outlets picked up the story, the national media was relentless in their coverage. Reporters flocked to Albright Academy, eager to get comments from the senator and the school's administration. Mr. Thompson, once confident in his authority, now found himself in the uncomfortable spotlight, besieged by angry parents and community leaders demanding accountability. Protesters gathered outside the school, holding signs emblazoned with messages of solidarity, justice for all, equal rights, equal education, and no more racism. The scene outside Albright Academy was one of unity and strength, a visible representation of the outrage that had ignited a movement. Inside the school, the atmosphere shifted dramatically. Mr. Thompson's office was inundated with phone calls and emails from furious parents and sponsors demanding explanations. The board convened an emergency meeting, recognizing the dire need to act swiftly to salvage the institution's reputation. Meanwhile, Amelia and Olivia continued their studies at home, blissfully unaware of the wave of support their family was receiving. One evening, their father sat them down, his eyes reflecting a mix of pride and determination. "Girls, I want to show you something," he said, pulling out his phone to display videos of the protests and social media reactions. "Wow, Dad," Olivia said, her eyes wide with surprise. "I didn't know it had gone this far. It's not just about us anymore, is it?" Amara added, a hint of realization dawning on her. "Why are so many people supporting us?" "Because your story resonates with many," Senator Williams explained, embracing his daughters. "It represents the struggles of countless individuals who have faced discrimination. People are rallying for change, and they believe in your right to an education." As the pressure mounted, Mr. Thompson realized he could no longer deny the growing momentum of public opinion. The school's reputation was at stake, and influential sponsors were withdrawing their support, threatening the very foundation of Albright Academy. In the days that followed, Senator Williams addressed the school board with a commanding presence, reminding them of the values they claimed to uphold. "Your refusal to admit my daughters not only discredits your institution, but also risks the future of your students. The time for discrimination is over. You have a choice. Stand on the side of justice or face the consequences." The tension in the room was palpable, and the board members exchanged anxious glances. Professor Johnson, who had initially been a voice of caution, finally spoke up. "We cannot afford any more scandals. I propose we immediately admit Amara and Olivia Williams and revise our admissions policy to be more inclusive." Mr. Thompson's face fell as he realized he was losing his grip on the situation. After a brief discussion, the board unanimously voted in favor of admitting the girls and re-evaluating their admissions criteria. The decision marked a turning point in the battle against discrimination at Albright Academy. Mr. Thompson, who had once held unwavering authority, was swiftly removed from his position as headmaster, replaced by an interim leader tasked with restoring the schools. Public trust. News of the senator's victory spread like wildfire. The media now focused not only on the conflict, but also on the importance of the decision made by Albright Academy. While the school's reputation had taken a hit, the change served as a powerful lesson for institutions. Across the nation, Amara and Olivia were finally welcomed into Albright Academy, their acceptance not just a personal victory, but a triumph for justice. As they stepped into the school on their first day, they were greeted with warm smiles and support from their peers. The girls held their heads high, knowing they had fought for their place and that their struggles represented a much larger fight for equality. Senator Williams watched as his daughters entered the building, pride swelling in his heart. He knew that this battle was just the beginning. Many more obstacles lay ahead. However, he was reassured by the strength of his daughters and the unwavering support of their community. In the months that followed, Albright Academy implemented changes to ensure a more inclusive environment, creating mentorship programs and outreach initiatives to support underrepresented students. The senator continued to advocate for systemic change, sharing their story in national forums, further igniting discussions about equality in education. The Williams family became a symbol of hope, proving that the fight for justice could lead to change. Through their unwavering determination, they inspired others to challenge injustice, fostering a movement that sought to break down barriers and create a brighter future for all. Children. The story of the Williams family became more than just an anecdote. It became a reminder that together, voices raised in solidarity could shape a world where every child had the opportunity to thrive, regardless of the color of their skin.